As the bell tolled, Constance Grayle dragged her friend Kate through the crowd, wondering if there was a festival going on. Kate tried telling Constance they should go home, but someone would bump into them and they'd be separated. Panicking and unable to find her friend, Constance ran through the crowd, accidentally walking past a barricade where the punishment was to be administered. Watching the cloaked woman ascend the steps of the podium, they'd unveil her, and seeing the woman's hair black as night, eyes amethyst glimmering, Constance thought she was so pretty. A brief silence. Then the woman said, "A curse upon you! A curse upon you all!" Rain began to pour, and the people called her a fiend, murderer, and that she was the cursed one. Constance covered her ears and closed her eyes. She's never witnessed the feral wickedness that lied within the common everyday man. She opened her eyes, and they locked with the woman's. In this brief moment, it's like the world was soundless. The woman let off a sad smile, and as the bell tolled once more, she uttered something only Constance could hear. The executioner drew his blade. As the woman knelt down, lightning struck. At the same moment he struck her. Blood splattered on Constance, and with the woman's head presented, the people cheered. "It's over! She's dead!" A traumatizing experience little Constance would scream over. We turned to the Lesser Palace, Grand Merillion. It had been 10 years since that night at St. Mark's Square. Constance was 16 now. Viscount Hamsworth congratulated her, saying surely the fates would bless her union, especially since the Grayle family motto was, "Thou shalt act with sincerity." She pondered on that. A few months ago, her father, the living embodiment of the Grayle family's sincerity, found himself under a mountain of debt. On the condition that the Bronson family pay for it, she became engaged to Mr. Bronson's son and heir, Neil. He was quite the gentleman. She couldn't deny that she's dreamed of marrying for love, but a plain, dull girl like her getting a handsome, well-mannered gentleman to consent to become her husband, she considered herself blessed, or so she thought. Her friend Mylene had heard the news. However, everyone was talking about Neil and Pamela Francis. Someone saw them together in each other's arms when they thought no one was watching. This was shocking news for Constance. Kate told Mylene to stop spreading groundless rumors, but Mylene went further. She heard Pamela went through men the way normal people went through dance partners. This weighed heavily on Constance's mind. She trusted Neil. He was his usual kind self to her this very day. Unfortunately, she'd find him holding Pamela under the streetlight. Pamela spotted her and smirked, pulling Neil in for a kiss. Constance ran away, teary-eyed. She wished she could pretend she hadn't seen them. Still, she needed to face this with sincerity and talk it through with him. She turned and eeked, suddenly seeing a woman beside her, and by a glance, Constance thought she was gorgeous. Looking at the ballroom, the woman said, "Sure seems festive." Constance invited her inside, and because of that, the woman was allowed in. She thanked Constance for helping her. Constance continued to ponder on what to do with Neil. And then, Brenda meekly congratulated her engagement. Constance felt she'd seen Brenda around before with Pamela. As Brenda took her leave, Constance noticed her hair ornament was falling off. Brenda's eyes nervously widened, spotting Pamela above. Constance tried to help her out, and Brenda made the excuse that she needed to get her evening bag upstairs, and asked that Constance look after her hair ornament. Some time passed, and Pamela would shout Constance's name. Pamela made a scene, saying she was well aware of Constance's family situation, but she's gone too far. She announced Constance stole Brenda's hair ornament. The framing was diabolic. Pamela suggested Constance, being short on money, would do anything she could to get some by stealing Brenda's valuable ornament. Neil couldn't believe Constance would steal, but Pamela would take her bag from her, and out from it came the ornament. Pamela told her to explain in front of everyone, and Constance begged Brenda to please tell them the truth. Pamela told Constance to stop with the pitiful excuses, and coddled Brenda, who was trembling in fear. She then told Neil that now that he could see what Constance was really like, he should annul his engagement right away. Marrying her would sully the Bronson Company's reputation. He felt bad though, because there wasn't exactly concrete proof. Pamela said the proof was every witness here, and since they had Priest Viscount Hamsworth, they could annul it right away. Constance was frantic, but Pamela would use her own family's motto against her. "Thou shalt act with sincerity." Pamela said so much for the sincerity of the Grayles, calling Constance a no-good robber. I really hate this stupid bitch. My ideal world? Send her and people like her to the gallows. As people clamored, Constance fell to her knees, begging anyone to help her. The woman from earlier said, "Very well, I'll help you out for a price. She spoke through Constance, saying, "And which one of us is the robber here exactly?" Pamela was shocked. She hated how Constance always proudly spouted nonsense about sincerity. She's never liked her, and hated how everything fell into her lap, even though Constance was far inferior to her in both looks and family fortune. That's why she decided to use Brenda to destroy her. Pamela tried to clap back, but Constance cut her off, reminding her the man she was so sensually riding in the bushes was her dear fiancé. Ha! Shame her for being a hoe. Pamela shrieked that they were just kissing, and Neil stopped her. But since Pamela was kissing Constance's fiancé, Constance argued that actually made her the robber. Constance then turned towards the various crowd guests, who witnessed Brenda hand over her ornament, and walked towards Wayne, who was the first one to notice what actually happened. She pressed him enough until he eventually said the truth, and the other guests all started talking about what really happened. The Viscount would come down, and Constance told him to void her engagement at once, because if he didn't, she'd make sure word of tonight's party at the Grand Merillion, held by him, where this couple consorted to engage in carnal acts in the sacred royal garden, would reach His Majesty's ears by whatever means necessary. Pamela didn't understand. This wasn't the Constance Grail she knew. Constance bowed out, wishing the young couple consumed by illicit passion be blessed. With her walking out, Pamela would chase after, but be tripped by one of the ladies. The woman in green regarded Constance quite favorably and found Pamela's actions galling. Where she was from, adulterers wore piping hot shoes and danced until they died. Neil and Pamela danced, Pamela's feet bloodying without shoes, and the bystanders' carnal retribution satisfied by the sight. They were surprised by Constance. It was almost as if Scarlet Castile herself crawled back out from the deepest pits of hell to speak through her. The next morning, Constance woke up from what she thought was a dream, but found Scarlet by her bedside. A shocking sight. She shrieked. When Scarlet introduced herself, Constance thought that couldn't possibly be true. Scarlet Castile was executed 10 years ago, but with the woman now floating in the air, it was evident she definitely wasn't alive. Scarlet was a wicked woman beyond comparison. She plotted to poison her romantic rival, Cecilia, a Viscount's daughter, to the Crown Prince Enrique, denouncing her crimes at the Grand Merillion. And not only was their engagement annulled, but her utterly ruthless behavior led to her execution 10 years ago. Scarlet didn't remember a thing about the day she was executed, but the Grand Merillion was where she was humiliated by that idiotic Enrique and that black-hearted Cecilia. Remembering infuriated her. When she came to, she found herself in that place, but for some reason couldn't enter the hall. She was sure it was thanks to Constance she was able to enter. She matter-of-factly told Constance she seemed plain, unassuming, and had no redeeming traits. But the fact she noticed Scarlet was something she could be proud of. What a smug ghost. Scarlet was here to make sure Constance held her part of the deal. Constance would append the rest of her life, ensuring Scarlet succeeded in getting vengeance. Scarlet made up her mind to send every last one of those scoundrels who had executed her to hell. You'd think she knew who they were, but she was clueless. How could she know? After all, she was set up. She wasn't the type to resort to something so pedestrian as poisoning Cecilia. Constance would become her agent, unmasking the culprit and sentencing them to hell on earth. Connie was skeptical about this, but Scarlet mentioned that her family was in debt. Plus, she didn't have much of a choice with her marriage being annulled. Scarlet asked if refusing to repay her sounded like the Grail's sincerity her family boasted of. Constance would have to agree to the deal. Shortly after, she'd visit an orphanage, telling the nun that she came on behalf of the Orlamoons and introducing herself as Letty. She explained that the family wished to collect letters from the Maurice home for orphaned children to commemorate Lady Lily's death this day. This was all a part of the plan to question those who might have known what happened to Scarlet. She figured Lily Orlamoon would be useful. After all, they were friends. After Scarlet's death, Lily devoted herself to good works to atone for her crimes. People referred to her as the White Lily of charity for her fairness. Constance admired her. However, 2 years ago, Lily poisoned herself, ending her own life in her family's chapel. The reason for her action remained unknown till this day. To Scarlet, it didn't make sense that Lily would choose self-end, especially for someone so ill-natured. Weren't they friends? Apparently, Scarlet didn't see it that way. She'd sooner do a handstand dance on a cliff's edge than keep company with her. Constance recalled stories of Lily usually visiting Scarlet when no one else would. Back then, Lily knew Scarlet would never try something like poisoning Cecilia. Still, it meant there was someone out there who was capable of framing a woman of her caliber, and they had no idea who this was. So, Lily had come to bid her goodbye, thinking this business was beyond her. She would have loved to assist Scarlet, but her own life was more precious to her. After receiving the letters from the kids, Constance was to visit the scene of Lily's self-end. For this, she would have to properly dress up as a nun. Arriving at the Marquess of Orleman's residence, she greeted the guard. Despite his frightening glare, he led her to the chapel. Getting inside, Constance tried to pay her respects to the deceased by praying, but Scarlet claimed Lily wouldn't be pleased by any of that. She'd rather have them hurry up and find out the truth. Knowing Lily, Scarlet suspected she would have left a clue behind the painting. As Constance lifted it, she found something attached to the back. Sensing someone was about to open the door, she quickly took the item and hid it. As the man entered, Scarlet couldn't believe it was Randolph Ulster. What was he doing here? Apparently, Constance told Scarlet that Lily was married to Randolph Ulster of the House of Richelieu. However, Scarlet saw him as her nemesis. Some even referred to Randolph as the Lord of Death. Randolph then asked Constance about George, the little red-headed boy he often played with at the orphanage. Before she could answer incorrectly, Scarlet told her to answer that George had chestnut hair, while Tony was actually the kid with red hair. Nice save. After making things clear, Constance excused herself. Randolph offered to walk her back to the orphanage, and she appreciated the offer, but would have to decline, claiming she had errands to run. Finally out of the chapel, she was relieved to be away from someone so intimidating. She wondered if Randolph suspected her. Scarlet couldn't tell, but knew the man had a keener nose than was good for him. Back in the chapel, Randolph noticed the painting was slanted and saw pieces of what Constance had ripped off on the floor. Returning to the orphanage, Constance dropped the clothes she was given at the gate, and a little money as well. The children suddenly approached her, and Tony said, "Kiriki kirikuku," whatever the hell that meant. Constance was confused. He told her it was a spell for spotting bad guys, which they had learned from Lily. Before she died, she taught them this spell, telling them to recite it to whoever came asking about her. If the person reacted, it meant they were a very bad person. And in that circumstance, the children were to round up everyone and run for it. Could this mean Lily was murdered? Back home, Constance was exhausted. She opened the package she found, which held a key and a piece of paper with one instruction: destroy the Holy Grail of Eris. Neither of the two had any idea what it meant. Eris was the goddess of discord and strife in the myth of Ferris, a wicked deity who was said to have driven a nation to ruin. That was according to a legend from their country, Adelbide's neighboring land. Eris was also the alias Scarlet used when she wanted to have fun during nightlife. As for the key, it had a number engraved on it, but nothing to indicate which workshop it was made in. There weren't enough clues to figure out what it was for. Later on, Constance would meet up with Kate. Her friends were worried about her, especially since her engagement was called off. The events had made it to the papers with the headline, "Poor Constance Grail proves even a lamb will charge at a hound when provoked." That was the Mayflower's editorial take on the matter anyway. Pamela headed back to her family's domain the next day. Though they claimed it was for her health, everyone knew she ran away like the little wimp she was. As for Neil, the Bronson Company's aristocratic clients started a boycott. Just this morning, he had come to apologize to Constance, and she told him how to stop the people coming after them. She didn't blame the rest of the people at the Bronson Company. She was way too sincere for her own good. Still, Kate warned her to be careful, since she had become an overnight celebrity. Even though Constance didn't want to mention where she was last night, Kate didn't mind. She would always be there if her friend needed her help. Considering what had happened, Kate figured Constance wanted nothing to do with men. That was until she saw an invitation letter inviting Constance to Amelia Godwin's ball. She wished Constance good luck on her journey finding a new man. After she left, Scarlet decided they'd be attending the ball, knowing Baroness Godwin loved nothing more than to talk of the misfortune of others. If they played their cards right, Amelia would sing for them like a canary in mating season. Arriving at the ball, Constance approached Amelia Godwin. In one glance, Amelia thought she was more refined than before, but still a far cry from Scarlet. Greeting her, Constance mimicked Scarlet's mannerisms perfectly, to the point that it scared Amelia. With Amelia gone, Scarlet spotted Aisha Huxley and asked Constance to go see what she had to say. But Constance panicked upon spotting Randolph. She begged Scarlet to take over, but the ghost couldn't stand the man, so she abandoned Constance without a second thought. Randolph walked up to her, referring to Constance as the sister he saw the other day. With her trying to feign ignorance, he went straight to the point. What did she want? Was it his late wife's will, or was there something else she was after? Scared to tears, she prayed for someone to save her. Scarlet would come back and deal with what she was running from. Taking over Constance's body, she asked if Randolph had any proof of his claims. He proposed going back to the orphanage to see if they'd confirm that she was the same Letty who visited on behalf of the Orlamunds. She declined, valuing herself too highly to arrange a date with a gentleman she just met. Suddenly, they were interrupted by the sound of shattering glass and gasps from the crowd. Margot Tudor had attacked Teresa Jennings, breaking a glass on her, claiming Teresa had an affair with her husband. After tending to the matter, Randolph decided to let Constance go for the day, but he wondered if she could really say she wasn't involved. After the party, Constance would come across Amelia outside. She asked what exactly happened to Scarlet 10 years ago. Amelia answered it was the usual story of her being executed because she tried to poison Cecilia. But Constance felt there was more. Amelia would then tell her that in the 7th Division of Inmest Mars, at the old Montrose residence, the invitation was an Earl John Doe's hat. Leaving, she added that those who won in life were those who survived. So she hoped Constance wouldn't be forced to make an early exit. Okay, are we getting closer to finding out who framed Scarlet? Keep up with next week's part by subscribing to my channel. For now though, watch this next video. It's me, Comfy T. I'll see you all in the next one.